Welcome back, Officers Republic. It's your course on Honorable Police Chief APGAINS. So the rest of APGAINS not here. It's just APGAINS, but I am off traveling the country, being sad, doing stuff that I wish I didn't have to do. Okay, so Leviathan. I don't have it, but on the 20th when it comes back around, I will. I actually probably won't have cell service that day or that entire week, so maybe I won't have it and I'll have to wait another month, but I have at least the requirements done. And the most common question I get asked revolving around the Leviathan on streams and stuff like that, especially recently, is, do I regret going for the Leviathan? I mean, it was certainly all of my relic materials, and especially doing something that I'm not usually a huge fan of, which is following up a GL farm with a GL farm. I'm following up Leviathan with Leia. Tends to not work fantastic, mostly because your relics get completely... all of your gear, all of your relic materials, your salvage, your signal data, all that stuff kind of gets depleted. So it's been difficult, but do I regret the Leviathan? Maybe I do. And the only reason I say that, because I'm generally a fan of ships, is like, my problem in GAC is not so much ships. I kind of got the Leviathan simply because I wanted to front run a lot of the problems that being underfarmed in ships kind of present to people. The main problem being that if you don't happen to have enough ships and the GAC comes down to ships, you're just kind of auto losing. So I think in large part, I just wanted to make sure that I kind of future-proof my roster for any ship difficulties. I don't usually have any problems. I take Negotiator, I take Thrawn, Negotiator, and Profundity on offense, and I usually get decent to good banners, and I almost never really have to two-shot anything. Defense, I kind of leave a lackluster defense, to be perfectly honest, and that's just because I've kind of over-leveraged as far as Backbones teams are concerned, so I have a really strong front wall defense that oftentimes holds. And I think that kind of comes into play why a lot of the time I have been recently thinking that maybe I do in fact regret farming Leviathan, because often if you farm enough Backbone teams, even if your opponent have a ton of GLs, like, you will get holds and your ships play less of a role in a lot of GACs. So I think it's more the case that farming the Leviathan after you already have both of the other GL ships is like, I need to pull out like an old white man analogy here to kind of rally you guys up. It's kind of like, it's kind of like getting your dream job and your dream girl, and then like also trying to be healthy. You know what I'm saying? It's like, oh, okay, you're making fat stacks at work. You're the man. You're loving life. You got a hot broad to come home to. I don't actually refer to women as broads. Don't worry. But I just thought that would be a nice little broad reference to throw in there, because I feel like it's gone away, and maybe we need to bring back occasionally being mean to people. No, maybe that's a bad take from APGAINS. APGAINS does not refer to women as broads for legal purposes. Everything I said was a joke. Okay, moving on. And then you kind of have that third thing about actually living a healthy lifestyle, and that's got to be the most annoying one, and one that on a day-to-day basis you're probably not going to notice too much, and you're more going to notice the suffering. It's kind of Leviathan. It's like, well, there's the bugs, and there's the glitches, and there's the fact that it isn't great on defense. There's the fact that it isn't great unless you have a 7-star Leviathan, right? But it's kind of to set yourself up for the future, if that makes sense. While you might not notice a lot of the benefits immediately, this is kind of one of those things where at some point in the future, you're going to be face-to-face with a challenge, and you're going to be like, holy shit, thank God I have Leviathan. And I'm just hoping that is kind of the hole that Leviathan fills at the moment. Because let's say I finish up Leia and I finish up Cal Kestis after, we're going to be stacked. Our roster's going to be great. Maybe we leverage into some more Backbone teams as they come out. Maybe we leverage into GL Thrawn, Conquest Gideon, Malicos, maybe even Jabba for a defensive team. There's plenty of things that you can do, but it's going to kind of be that third thing that's going to linger in the background that you're not going to know you need until you need it. And since ships, generally speaking, for most people, happen to be the thing that they ignore, I honestly still want to tell people that it's worth farming maybe not necessarily before your third GL. So you go 2 GLs, 2 GL ships. Maybe it's probably best to go third GL into third GL ship just because you're going to get more immediate mid-game Kyber 5, Kyber 4, Kyber 3 viability out of that third GL rather than that third ship. And then once you progress into that Kyber 3, Kyber 2 area, you're going to need to have all your ships steezed out of your mind, and maybe that's the point where, you're happy to have that third ship. But for most people, like if you're at 1 GL ship, and you're like APGAINS, I have SLKR and Executor, or I have C and Executor. God bless you, by the way. I feel very terribly for you. There's counseling every Tuesdays and Thursdays at APGAINS streams. You can kind of rant and rave and apologize for your sins. But that being said, I am never going to recommend Leviathan over a second GL ship, whether it's the Executor or the Profundity, or a second GL, whether it's JML or JMK or Jabba or Leia or whatever the fuck you want to do. It's definitely a rich get richer kind of fleet, if that makes sense. Like, if you're already like great in every area, you have great ships, you have great backbone teams, your core auxiliary is completely filled out, you have a couple GLs. That's kind of where this plugs in, and where you can have massive viability from it as a GAC. As a GAC offensive fleet, and maybe you move Profundity and Executor back to defense. You have 2 or 3 strong defensive teams, and you can go higher banners on offense, or whatever you want to do in GAC. So, do I regret the Leviathan? No, I don't regret the Leviathan, especially because, luckily, the Leia requirements just happen to perfectly fit into what we have been farming over the past couple of years to make it where it's going to be pretty easy, especially since they're giving us cool drops and stuff like that, which I actually might miss. I might miss the drops. I'm going to be perfectly honest with you guys. It's kind of sad. But assuming that I can get a cell service at some point while those drops are active and take advantage of the extra nodes, the extra drops, the double drops and stuff like that, I'm hoping that maybe I can get some extra leverage there, but especially because I started farming Leviathan before Leia was confirmed, I think it was the right thing to do. I think gambling on the next meta ship is always going to be the right thing to do if you're in the mid game or in the late mid game or even in the end game. They have enough hold in GAC being so limited, even to this day, in anything outside of Kyber 2, Kyber 1, where you kind of have to pull the trigger on them, and I don't regret it. I'm going to be honest. I don't regret it, and luckily Leia requirements kind of led in perfectly. If Leia requirements didn't lead in perfectly, I probably would have done Rey, and then I probably would have done Malicos and Cal and stuff like that, built up a little bit more defense, get a little bit more backbone, and then kind of progressed and maybe grab Thrawn, a GL Thrawn as he comes out. That's probably what I would end up doing, but I think I just cut lucky. Leviathan into Leia happened to be really, really good for my account, and kind of future-proofed me. I have the hot girlfriend, I have the great job, and I have the great health. And there's your little old white man metaphor. As always, I love you, and I'll see you later.